With the release of Ultra Super Perfect Cell, it made me think, that means we've got another unit that's got countered. Not just Beast Gohan, but Ultra Majin Vegeta. These two oppressive powerhouses, not completely useless, but they're definitely on their way out if they're not yet already. And in the last year alone, we've got a lot of units that have released that have been very powerful and then have never made a strong return. Or even if they did, it took a while. So in this video, I wanted to bring up a bunch of units and how they got countered by other units. I'm only going to focus on a couple in this video, but maybe I could do a part 2 depending on how this video does. So let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this. Let's get into this. So let's start with the biggest dog, the face of getting countered in Dragon Ball Legends at this point, Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. This guy went through it. The devs were just pumping lead into this guy, not letting him breathe for 1 second after that first month during the anniversary. But there's a lot to go through here. So let's start from the jump and then build our way down to how they literally slaughtered this guy. At first, it might have not seemed like a counter, but it definitely is. We know that G4 is a powerhouse known for one-shotting with his tap actions art. His ultimate does so much damage. So when they dropped Omega Shenron right after, people immediately thought, he's green. He's obviously going to be worse. But this was not the case. Omega Shenron here was an absolute problem because he has indestructible. So even if you have that one-shot ultimate, you literally can't use it because he will tank that no matter how much damage you could do. You could do 9 trillion billion damage, bro. It's not going through, and that's because Omega Shenron has indestructible. You can't break through, bro. That's tough. But before we go one step forward, let's go backwards. Something that people forget or for some reason don't think is a factor, but the devs knowingly drop units prior sometimes to counter units they know that they're gonna drop in the near future. Do you think they didn't plan out the anniversary? They just dropped all the units on a whim back to back? No, they had them pre-prepped probably months before. Fusing Gogeta Blue, they dropped this weak ass Strike Assault. Although it's not the strongest mechanic ever, it's something that exists to get G4 out the way. Purposely inventing the Strike Assault mechanic to avoid gauges. In this, he's able to go around specifically G4's gauge. He's not doing the most, but he's yellow, so he's type advantage, and that's enough to break through G4's counter because that counter ain't gonna go off if the Strike Assault is chaining. Next up, we got Triku. This guy here, the Tree of Might Goku. Actual problem. Besides from the obvious him being yellow, they made sure his kit was specifically tailored to destroy G4. Besides from the typical buff cancellation that everybody was getting during this period, if there's no switching applied to him, which we know that G4 does, he will reduce the enemy key by 100, seal your Rising Rush for 10 time accounts, increase all your costs, and seal your main ability for 10 time accounts, just for no switching being activated. And we know G4 can activate no switching from his green card and his counter. That makes him completely useless when Triku's on the field, and that's a problem. Triku in general, very menacing addition to sagas from the movies, just got G4 out the way even more. But there's even more. We've got Ultra Turles. This guy here coming with his second life mechanic comeback added to the sagas from the movies variation of teams. That just made the team too much. That second life mechanic meaning he's another unit that can't get one-shotted so easily. It doesn't matter how much damage you can do if they have a second life or something that's going to keep them alive, and Turles is that. He also has the ability to slow down a combo, so he's reducing ki as you hit him if his gauge is filled. Just makes it harder to do more damage with G4. Not as much tailored, but it got in the way big time. And you think they're done by now, but they're not. Here we've got Ultra Majin Vegeta. Pressure. Not only did he steal G4's flow with the blast counter, can happen on the cover change. The main thing about this guy is that his ultimate art is a lock-in type, meaning that once he hits it, you can't get out of it. There's no cover changing, you just have to take that hit. Because of that, while also being yellow and an ultra, so meaning he's gonna do crazy damage, G4 was getting sniped, and by this point he's off the boost, so they're just making sure he does not return. But even then, we're not done. The release of Vegito Blue. Now, I don't want to count this too much because he does actually work with G4 since he's a fusion warrior, but I'm not going to say that because he's a range type unit. Vegito Blue here ignores counter gauges completely. So in the scenario that G4 wanted to just come back somehow because this guy's green, Vegito Blue isn't letting it happen that easily. He's going to be chaining those cards, even sidestepping because he has that cover no that does not let gauges go off. That's crazy. And they're still not done, by the way. there's one more, and that's being nice. I could have included a lot of more extra little pieces, but I didn't. We've got Beast Gohan, the final unit in 2024, the Ultra for the Festival 2024. Just the most oppressive yellow we've got in a minute. Obviously Majin Vegeta prior to the festival, but this guy's hanging with him, if not better. Very dangerous. Should go without saying his ultimate is crazy. Special beam cannon, once that hits, if you don't drop combo, that's gonna take you out, and G4 being purple, he just doesn't stand a chance. Let's talk about Ultra Majin Vegeta, and I'm also going to include Beast Gohan in this one segment because they have the exact same counters. The first one released after Majin Vegeta but before Beast Gohan. We've got Super Saiyan Goku Mini. Now the main thing being that he's red, it's not only that though. He can consistently snipe people with his blue card if his gauge is filled, meaning that he will lock you in and you can't do anything to escape that. Him being red type advantage over these two yellows allows him to do a lot of damage, and that's gonna take out Beast Gohan completely or Majin Vegeta's endurance at least. On top of that, his green card, once he presses it the second time, he will get the ability to nullify endurance for 3 timer counts. That alone isn't anything crazy, but it could give you the opportunity to take somebody out, specifically Majin Vegeta because of his endurance. But not just that, if he presses the green card, he gets a blue card, and that allows him to snipe with nullification of endurance, given that his buffs don't get cancelled. But it also gives him the chance to Rising Rush a character like Majin Vegeta because he does not cancel buffs from a Rising Rush. So Daima Goku has insane value fighting these big powerhouses. I also want to put out that his ultimate is the throwing type, meaning that Beast Gohan's gauge will not stop it. That's very important to note because it allows Daima Goku to do way more damage than anybody else would be able to do in normal circumstances. I wasn't going to mention this guy, but we got Fusion Zamasu, and I feel like he's only really a counter depending on your intention when building him. I find that when I fight people using a defensive variant of this Fusion Zamasu, they take more advantage of his defensive gauge, so that when you're doing combos with these yellows, you simply can't break through. The healing is going to be insane and the combo breaking is going to be insane. But if you don't run him defensively, I wouldn't exactly class him as a counter. It's simply the fact that he can break the combos while being red, so he's type advantage over the likes of Majin Vegeta and Beast Gohan. But for that reason, I am still going to mention him, but I wouldn't say he's a specific counter like Daima Goku where his kit specifically works around the likes of Beast Gohan and Majin Vegeta. But the one we do need to talk about is Ultra Perfect Cell. This guy here is tailored to stop these two guys. The first thing let's talk about is his ability to permanently nullify endurance. That's a big deal no matter what. He can rush Majin Vegeta easily. He can even get him out of strikes, blasts, tap attacks, anything, and Majin Vegeta is gonna get nuked. Plus being off the boost, get him out of here, coach. But not just that, on his ultimate art, when he presses it, he gets the cover nullification that the yellow rose has, meaning that the cover nullification is applied to the enemy and not himself, so it won't be cancelled. This means that when he hits an ult, Beast Gohan won't be able to stop it on cover, and that's super impactful in taking him out. There's no gauge that's gonna activate when Beast Gohan switches in, so you'll be able to do crazy damage and take him out with a snipe. That's super valuable in PvP. Then obviously the natural things, he's red. Just being red means that he's type advantage over these two guys, and then of course he comes with endurance and buff cancellation, so no big attacks are just gonna break through. He's also type neutral often, so even something like a special beam cannon from Beast Gohan won't break through him that easily, which is very useful if you are a Cell user. Straight hard counter for both of those guys. The last guy for this video we're gonna be discussing is using Super Vegito. This guy had it super tough, man. I don't want to say he had it super tough because he came with one of the most broken abilities ever, being able to win every single time when you hit a Rising Rush. That's just not fair. But of course, the outcome of what happens because of him is very bad. Before him, we never really got units that had endurance and the ability to cancel buffs. But after that, it seemed like every unit was getting it. In part 2 of the anniversary, we got Evil Majin Buu and Ultimate Gohan. These two guys dropping on one banner together, both cancelling buffs, and Ultimate Gohan having endurance in addition, just made it so that fusing Super Vegito's Rising Rush was not going to kill people, even though it would always win. But that also hindered everybody around fusing Super Vegito, which made it even more of a problem. But that's not where we stop. We get the indestructible with Legends Limited Omega Shenron. Having this guy have that second life factor as well that can't be broken through was also a problem. Even if you do get the Rising Rush, he's going to be able to come in and tank that hit, the indestructible goes off, and then you have to go again. That's really irritating. Ultra Turlers, just another unit that came in in with the second life mechanic making it hard for him to prosper, it's just not easy for him now. Even if he gets the rush off, it might go through, but it's not killing anybody. I didn't even mention Kid Buu earlier, because a lot of these units cancel buffs, Kid Buu can swap in and the endurance will keep him alive. So anybody with endurance was also just as valuable, because somebody on that team, no matter what you're using, will cancel buffs. So everybody's safe. It's like a bargain sale of buff cancellations and endurance. We get Gotenks. He doesn't have buff cancellation, but he does have endurance. Majin Vegeta, more stacks. Very big problem. And by this time, fusing Super Vegito's off the boost. So Majin Vegeta's also just gonna take out Vegito. No way for him to survive. We get Goku Black Rose and Vegito Blue. They both cancel buffs. Rose has endurance as well, but Vegito Blue also being green, countering fusing Super Vegito just doesn't help, but they both cancel buffs, so Super Vegito's main mechanic just doesn't work. Super Saiyan 2/Super Saiyan 3 Goku cancels buffs. No endurance, but he cancels buffs, so he's just helping people out on his team. Also, Super Saiyan Goku Mini, he doesn't cancel buffs on everything, just specifically Rising Rushes, and he'll get endurance when that happens. So even the Reds are getting one up on fusing Super Vegito. Crazy scenes. Ultra Beast Gohan, this guy here with his gauge, you can't rush him. He's gonna block that stuff, bro. Everybody here is making sure that fusing Super Vegito does not get freedom. He's not allowed it. And I can go further, but it'd just be me listing everybody else that has buff cancellation. Sword of Hope Trunks, God Goku, MVP 17's back, Cell. It's dark for some units when these devs hone in and make sure that you are not allowed to survive. Some characters make it out, but it takes a miracle for that to happen. But these units here, they're getting targeted, and it's very apparent. That's going to be the end of the video, man. Just some units that got heavily countered. There's a lot more that I know about and I could talk about in a video. So like I said at the start of the video, let me know if you'd like to see a part 2 and I'll do one depending on how this video performs. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.